you ever seen wheels with so many brakes in them before?
No, I think these are probably the worst broken wheels I've ever seen on a drift car. So props to Nakamura.
It's wild.
Yeah,
so anyways, he's at all the wheels look like that, by the way. So what we have here is my LQ9 or LQ4, which has been in my competition S14 red zinc or kooky car forever. We're pulling it apart real quickly. To preface what happened, this is going to come apart so fast. On Drift Week 8, the motor just dropped a valve basically, and we're going to see how much damage is in this whole thing. So the retainer, I'll tell you what it looked like a minute ago because Mark already pulled it and screwed up the video. We had lost a retainer. Ooh, he's going to put it back together. So the rocker was on there perfectly. The rocker had no damage, and it was like this. And the little retainer was broken, and the keeper was messed up. Rocker was perfect, and the valve was up here, and Mark just hammered it down because he was bored. So what's special about this motor is it's PRC heads, normal rockers, factory rockers, which is cool because then you don't have all the expensive heavy stuff, because the heavier the rocker, the more spring you need. Dual springs, PRC ported heads, and then forged rotating assembly. The engine was in there for about 6 years, Marks, thanks. More than 100 days of drifting easily. We revved it to 7,500. Has a Canton pan, no accusump. Never had any oiling issues with this engine other than it not making a ton of pressure, but it never seemed to care. We never had one valve train problem, did we?
Only when we first got it. Someone didn't have one of these guys tight, and it was like that.
Oh, but all you did was tighten it up, and then we've never changed the springs. We've never checked any lash. More than probably, 500 tires through this thing?
Yeah.
At least 500 tires and like 6 years of drifting. The motor had never come out of the car, which is wild. Anyways, the cool thing about this motor is, and the LS3 stuff, is these are LS3 heads, which means they don't even really need to be ported to do all this stuff. The rocker setup and all that stuff is cool. This motor only made 480 wheel at the best day, sometimes only 420, depending on what was going on with the tune and a bunch of other factors, and like 420 wheel. When we first got it, it was only putting down like 376 wheel, I think, or something like that. But it's only ever gotten better with age, which is completely comical. And then you can run a stock LS3 intake manifold, which is really cheap and simple. You don't like going to fancier heads and better intake manifold on these engines until you get a lot of cubic inches behind them to push a lot of air. Doesn't do much, which means they're actually pretty cheap, which we have over here. We have an LT1 direct injection motor that we can put in this car. And we also have, I get confused which is which. I think this is the LT1. And this is an LS3 with a cam and springs. So we'll probably end up putting this engine in there just because we're kind of pressed for time. Oh, this one over here?
Yeah.
I can't even tell them all apart.
It's already dressed. It's already got a cam.
I went on a LS3 buying spree, which sounds pretty funny because they were so cheap after COVID. I had like, they call it like, people that live through the Depression become hoarders because they're afraid they'll never get something again. And LS3s were like $2,500 to $3,000. So I went and bought a bunch.
Yeah. It's okay. We're not using that stuff again.
Okay. So anyways, Mark is taking this stuff apart. I've prefaced you what we're doing. And I'll just let this roll for a minute while he pops the set off. And what we do to spin these engines faster than stock, up to 7,500 RPM, which is what we always leave it at, is they get LS7 lifters, which we got this motor with, a cam, and then dual valve springs, and the little keeper kit and all that stuff. And that typically comes with a cam kit. And with our newer motors, we don't even do ported heads or anything. You can see this one's ported because it has fancy little markings. But you're probably only picking up like 10 or 15 horsepower with this displacement off of these heads, and it's expensive.
They usually come with the kit, I think, as the push rods at least.
Oh yeah, push rods.
They're like Texas Speed hardened push rods.
And we have never bent a push rod or had a push rod problem. And one cool thing, by the way, is when you can run a factory rocker, which you cannot on like the old small block Chevy stuff at higher RPM, one, you save a bunch of money, but it's a very simplistic design and lightweight. And the heavier duty you go with these things, the more spring you need, or at least that's what I'm told. And it becomes a downward spiral of needing more stuff to... I was driving this car on track when I had the valve problem, and basically there was nothing catastrophic. The car just kind of sounded like it was misfiring and lost like half of its power. So I just kind of drove it back on the road course, and this car was driven for several minutes after we had this valve spring, or I guess keeper, whatever, failure, and drove it back. And then I restarted it multiple times thinking that it was maybe a plug or something. Mark let a bunch of rainwater get in and everything, by the way.
Oh, I did not. I don't know how it got in there.
And we haven't decided what we're going to do with this depending on how damaged it is. We could have a huge hole in the piston, something crazy could have happened, or he's going to pop this off and maybe it just needs, like, it could be everything's foobarred, like that Nakamura motor we had, or it could just need a single piston ring set and then a replacement head. We're expecting to see the bottom of this head destroyed and just like all messed up. But the piston, we have no idea about. And we think the valve head broke off, which we're pretty sure on. What a mess. Oh, that's not that bad. Did it hit the walls? Where's my light? We're about to see everything. Here we go. Light. Aziz. Light. There's metal everywhere. I can't tell if there's any damage to the cylinder walls. That piston obviously is messed up and bad, but it's not nearly as bad as I thought it could have been. We knew this would be super messed up.
And it's not.
That's pretty messed up, Mark.
No.
Mark's like, no, it could be way worse. So the valve head just YOLO'd and just left the chat completely.
Like, Devin could throw some welds on that.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Get it machined.
Yeah? You think we should remachine this thing? It's not that much for another head. That's the cool thing about these things is the heads aren't that crazy expensive, and you can buy one at a time.
A CNC ported one.
Yeah, but I mean, like, a CNC ported 2JZ head is like a $6,000 ordeal. If you bought a new head and then you also bought, or like gave it to someone to CNC do stuff. Oh, look at that. That must have gone back through the intake manifold and got some little tiny pieces in that cylinder.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's amazing how good this motor looks after all this time. The cylinder walls don't really look bad. It is insane. It's also interesting. I wonder how much extra damage this engine absorbs and doesn't like crack or do anything crazy because it's iron block versus an aluminum block.
No, it doesn't. What do you think, Devin? You run this?
Fuck, I've ran worse.
Yeah, this is like, Devin, you want to buy an engine? This isn't bad at all.
No, I don't.
We would probably throw it away except the fact that it has like an aftermarket crank and aftermarket rods and everything else. We really could just put a piston in this thing.
Yeah, I don't even think there's anything wrong with that wall.
And the bearings and stuff are fine.
It could probably just be honed.
Whew, we got
like...
ball hones. That's a Devin thing.
I mean, honestly, it could probably just be ball honed and then a head.
Cool.
I bet you.
So this is going to be a pretty short video. Now, light. The thing that is silly about this and these LS motors now is this. I think we had the bill from the previous owner, Scotch. I think they had like $8,000 or $9,000 in this engine.
Yeah, I think it was close to 10.
It does not make as much money or
As much power.
as much power as the LS3 with just a cam that came out of the E36 that we did for Chelsea. That car made 500 torque at the wheels on the same dyno as this one makes 420 wheel, and it revs to the exact same RPM. It makes more torque everywhere than this thing, but a lot more in the mid-range. Even though this engine's super cool and we can put it back together, and we probably will.
It'll get put back together.
Mark's like, it's going in my car. If we can get a whole engine like this for $3,000, or like one of those over there, it is a way better bargain just to completely replace the engine and go with an LS3. More power, newer.
5.3 for it.
I'll probably just let you have this, Mark. But Mark's getting me off topic, and I don't know what I'm talking about now.
I was just saying, it's your 5.3.
I know it. No, it's yours. I gave that to you like a year ago.
Yeah, you forget though.
I remembered that part. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's not necessarily worth keeping for us, even though it's a very expensive motor, because the LS3 stuff is so good now that this is an excellent. Like, God, this thing lasted so long. It won our Lone Star Drift Series. It won a Corvette
The
Adam LZ event. It did so much cool stuff. Maybe we should put it back together.
I definitely should go back together. Whether it goes in my car or your car or the Zinky outside.
Maybe we'll put this back together and turbo it.
Yeah.
Since what I was going to say, I know where I was. Even though this thing has, like, say, a 4340 whatever forged crank, you watch those Richard Holdner videos, and we have never broken a crank in an LS. Like, not at anything we're going to do. So there's no point in having a forged crank. There's no point in having forged rods necessarily, because we have never broken a rod in an LS. The pistons, we've never broken a piston in an LS. Look at how he's treating this now.
Get it out of the way.
We've never broken any of those parts. So it's cool to have fancy versions of everything that's built, but it's not even necessary. And the stock heads on that LS3 will make more power than our ported fancy ones, because we have a little bit more motor forward and all this other stuff. And I don't know why this motor didn't ever make more power than it did.
Gotta be the cam.
Could be the cam. Okay. That was a short video. We're getting ready for the Nakamura event. Let me show you a few quick things. One, like I said, Devin's fixing this wheel. Nakamura broke so many wheels and had so many things, but he's such a good driver. I bought this car the other night. It has 2-inch spacers on the front of it for no apparent reason. We're buying a bunch of cars for Drift Week to turn them into rental cars. So we sort these things out, drive them a bunch, has a big angle kit and stuff and whatever. We eventually sort out used drift cars so people can come do Drift Week, which the sorting out is not easy, by the way. It means we have to test them multiple times, do tons of parts. But whatever. This car was interesting because it made 340 wheel and made a lot of power. And I was like, that's a really healthy car. I'll deal with the other problems on it. This is the Nakamura 350Z getting ready for the event this weekend, where we're bringing him in from overseas to drive with us at Houston Police Academy. As soon as we fix those wheels, we'll put those up front. But this car, I've been driving this car a lot recently, driving with a friend of mine, doing teaching, I guess you could say. And this car is hilarious. It's towed in the front, has a bad alignment in the back, bunch of problems, but it drives fantastic, and it made pretty good power. I think this one put down 315 on our dyno. So it's a really good car and drives fantastic considering it has a garbage alignment and stuff, but I'm actually not fixing the alignment because I like the way it drives, which is comical. Anyways, I think that's all this video needs to be. Do we need to show anything else in this video that's funny, Mark? This is going to be the easiest video I've done in so long.
Do you want to see the other wheel that he already repaired?
Yeah. Oh, is it easy to get this lifter out and see if the lifter failed? Or you really can't visibly see if it failed? Let's do that. Mark will grab that real quickly while you show me the other wheel. Where's the other wheel? Oh, why don't you go get it and bring it out? Now I'm like, do we even know what a failed lifter looks like, Mark?
Yeah, that center plunger would be. Ooh, it's got some wear on it. A bit wear on the sides, but this center plunger would be like collapsed down in there. And then that, don't worry about that.
So that did not fail?
Doesn't look like it. It's got some wear on it, but it looks in pretty good shape. Overall,
Sweet.
like, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but there's a color change here and there. You can see where some wear is, but totally fine.
This motor's been
good forever.
This motor has been amazing. It did its work. I could not complain about it. Oh, best engine ever. Potato, potato, potato.
Yeah, I mean the cam looks good and everything too.
Let's see the cam in there. You're just looking at a lobe.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it.
It's hard to see.
It won't focus.
Is there water in that oil?
No. Yes, but no.
Damn it, Mark. Mark left a valve cover off and that has a vented hood. And he went and took the oil out, thinking he was going to get oil, and it was just pure water pouring out of the pan.
It was
and
on
it's an
there.
iron block, Mark.
There was water. There was a thing on there. It just wasn't on all the way, I guess.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait. Where's that wheel?
Right there.
Oh, my God. So every one of these was like an inch long crack.
Like two
Is this thing going to balance out? How bad is this going to be? Look at
honestly,
this.
I bet
1,
I think
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is so stupid.
This one has 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my God.
It's terrible.
This is
the
so
worst.
stupid.
Shouldn't be fixing these.
Okay. By the way, last parting message. How much easier is it to do LS stuff than small block Chevy stuff?
God.
We're having so much problem with old school small block Chevy stuff.
No. We're having no problems with it. We're having problems getting people to do things with it.
The machine shops? Yeah.
I won't
Anyways,
say anything, but yeah.
we don't typically have to deal with machine shops with these engines because just pull them out, put them in like a cam in them in the little parts or whatever, and put them right in the car. But we're completely dependent on machine shops for small block Chevy stuff because small block Chevy stuff doesn't make 500 wheel with a cam. You have to do heads, pistons, rods,
Also,
push rods, everything.
It's been around
Crank.
for so long. There's so many variants of like everything for it.
Oh yeah,
It's
we're
so
learning that the
easy to, like,
dipsticks are on the one side, the other side.
dipsticks
the
are on the
blocks
wrong
are different.
side.
Different amounts of bolts for the mains.
Different main bolts. Different. Oh, was it a marine engine? Is it not a marine engine? Is it a roller cam? Is it a flat tappet cam? Is it, you know, so
LS3
many
stuff,
things.
you're just like, is it L98? Is it LS3?
No,
What
it's
There's
is
not
it
that many things.
is it Gen 3? Is it Gen 4? That's it.
There are slight differences in like each gen as well.
Yeah, but none of it matters to the point where like you have to worry about it. If it's a Gen 4 block, you have Gen 4 things, it's good to go.
And we're waiting on this thing. So anyways, bye everybody.